Welcome to Running is Bullshit. I'm Amy.
And I'm Stuart, and you're listening to the podcast that loves to hate running. This is episode 120, and today we're talking about a bit of cross-country and running smells, and actually not a whole lot else. It's not really much going on this week, as it turns out. But what we're going to say is we wanted to give even more time to a fantastic guest, Louise Butcher, and we'll hear from her later.
Yeah, definitely. Louise was absolutely fantastic. It's a really, really good interview, and she's been doing the rounds with her interviews. I was looking up for the Bullshit Running News, doing a bit of prep for the show, and I think she's got an interview on Runner's World as well, like a print interview and stuff. So she's just everywhere at the moment. She's so we're very honoured to have her on the podcast. Her busy media tour that she's doing. So yeah.
Stay tuned. Hear more about topless running later on. Not much from the last episode, not even that much going on recently that we wanted to be annoyed about. We were trying to think directly before the episode. Is there things we're annoyed about? And I'm not sure there are. Perhaps, have we complained about everything now?
I was going to say, life's too good. Life's fantastic and there's nothing to complain about and every day's a blessing. But
so you're miserable then, that means?
Yeah, maybe.
That doesn't work for you.
Maybe it is a case of, we've just run out of things to say. Bye, everyone. See you next week.
And that's the podcast done. Bye. Let's talk about tea instead. We can always talk about tea.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, we've partnered with Bird and Blend Tea, which means we'll tell you what tea we're drinking. And if you like the sound of that, you go to runningisbs.com/tea, click on the links and buy tea. If you want, we're not going to force you. It's okay. It's of your own free will. Stuart, what are you drinking?
Not anything right at the moment, so hopefully this still counts. But I did have some monkey chops earlier, which is like a black tea with a bit of banana. I mean, it's mainly like a banana tea, but it's not like, don't think of like banana flavoured stuff, because banana flavoured stuff always tastes like shit. This is like nice actual banana in there. It's got a little bit of coconut, a little bit of vanilla. It's just a nice kind of fruity sweet tea. It's very good.
I need to get some of that. That does sound good whenever you mention it.
Yep.
It sounds like right up my alley.
And don't forget to get your advent calendars. There are still Christmas Advent calendars available on Bird and Blend. Fantastic for you, or what a lovely gift for a tea drinking friend of yours. Check out on our website, runningsbs.com/tea. Have a click on the link, buy some Advent calendars.
The Advent calendars are very
fun.
good. I noticed somebody tagged us on Instagram saying, remember that your Halloween Advent calendar starts soon. Mate, I've already started opening it. I've already started, and it is very good, because not only was there tea in there, I haven't opened all of it yet, but not only is there tea in there, but there's also the little paraphernalia that you need to make the tea as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we said on here we didn't actually understand. It had 13 doors and it was Halloween. We didn't really understand what to do. Actually, on the side of the box it says start it on the 19th of November and open one every day, which we both entirely missed. So we're just opening one wherever we want.
Yeah,
because we can.
Yeah, when I want to, I just think, just open a little door. Today, though, I'm having not one from the Halloween Advent calendar. I'm having strawberries and cream matcha. I want to say a latte, but it's not a proper latte because there's only a bit of milk in there. It's sort of how you make like a normal cup of tea. That doesn't really count as a latte, so it's just a matcha tea with a bit of milk, splash of milk in there. It's very nice.
Matcha makes it sound very fancy, doesn't it?
It does. But matcha is, it sounds fancy, but as long as you make it right, like with your matcha, never make it too hot. That's what ruins any green tea, actually. Never make it too hot. You have to make sure it's like you sort of 80 degrees sort of thing. But yeah, it's very, very tasty.
Cool. Amy, what have you been up to?
Not much running, actually. So.
Oh, God. It's going to be a short episode, man.
I had a cold, so I caught a cold last week, like a really nasty cold as well. You know when you get a cold and you're like, this is probably just allergies, and they think, oh no, it's not allergies, it's a bit of a cold. Oh, hopefully it'll only last a few days. Full on 10 days. Do
you want to just let us know when you're not feeling ill? I mean, that'll save a lot of time.
Constant. It just revolves around my various long-term illnesses. Then every now and again, a normal illness will also come in to join the chronic illnesses. So that's a nice surprise. You can probably hear a bit. I'm still bunged up right now.
Oh, thanks. Hope everyone had their headphones nice and loud for that.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it was, but I am still quite bunged up. But I'm back running this week, a bit, kind of. Feeling a bit knackered. It wasn't COVID, it was testing negative for that. So, yeah. But yeah, I had a week off running for that.
Still testing for COVID, nerd.
I know. I have seen quite a few people have had COVID, though. It seems to be everywhere at the moment. I feel like we're back in 2020 with people posting their, tests with the 2 lines on and be like, oh, God. So yeah, I did test for it, and it wasn't COVID. It's just a regular cold, just a regular boring cold. Like, what is this, 2019 or something? Who cares
Go
about
yourself.
a cold? I know. So yeah, so that was last week, which wasn't very fun. This week, a bit more exciting. Still not running related. Took my first ever driving test. Passed it, mate. Passed it. No worries.
First time?
Done. Yeah.
Oh,
first
that's
time.
annoying.
Did you pass first time?
Nope.
How many times did it take?
3?
3!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No. You see, yeah, that I just rolled up, just did it, just passed it, easy. I don't know what everyone's going on about. Easy.
I don't want to talk about you. To bring it back to me, I think the reason is because I did it when I was at uni in Preston, and I didn't drive on those roads as much.
Oh god.
So it was things to do with the roads. There's some roundabout issues. There's some junction issues, and I didn't know like those particular things, and that's what I'm blaming on. So
Of course.
So, yeah.
That would be it. But yeah, so passed that first time, which is fantastic because when I first started learning to drive, I was 17, which is I think 16 years ago now.
Excellent.
And it was like like £15 an hour to take lessons. It's not that anymore. It's not that cost anyway. It's very, very expensive to learn to drive now. So I was very.
So
much
is that
relieved
also why you
when I
passed first time? Because you've had 800 lessons.
Yeah. Yeah, my driving hour was like 800. No, I did, when I say I started learning to drive when I was 17, I only had like sort of 20 hours worth of lessons and I stopped. I haven't been learning since I was 17.
Okay.
But yeah, but that is great because it means that I can start entering races that are a bit further afield and I don't have to sort of look up whether I can get the train there, and then I think, I can get the train there, but also I'll need to run 3 miles before the actual race to actually get to the start line.
Mate, you must owe some lifts.
I know, I must do. If I only owe anyone a lift, then just let me know and I'll come pick you up like an Uber or something.
I think people are going to be calling in the middle of the night being like, Amy, remember that time I did this? Right, come and get me. And you're like, yeah, fine.
Yep. So yeah, so that's it. Not kind of running related. It will help in terms of my running life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't done anything really running related for the past 2 weeks for reasons beyond my control. So, yeah, what have you been up to?
I've done a shitload, as usual. It's always opposites with us. Had a really big weekend last weekend. I did cross country, first fixture of the season. That was really good fun. And what made it even better was I had someone in my club to race. I realised for me, what really makes a race for me, what makes me really enjoy it is if I've got someone to race against. And mostly if I beat them. Because a lot of the running stories I tell when people talk about, good races are when I've beaten people who are better than me. Those are a lot of the stories that I tell. But this one was someone that's fairly similar to me, but reasonably new and much younger than me. And there was 2 I took to cross country and racing against. And, we got a few K in. I looked back and I could see them. They were behind me. I thought, okay, they're going to fade away now. That'll be fine. And I was just like having a nice little jog along through the woods. And at 7K, he caught me up. Scott Place, his name. He caught me, just got alongside me and said hi. I was like, shit, what are you doing here? And I literally kicked away from him. I thought, I got 2K to go. I do not have a sprint finish, but he doesn't know that. So I need to get away from him early, and so there was little lumpy bits. I thought, right, I can do this. But as soon as it flattened off, I knew he was going to catch me because he's young. But as soon as there was a few little up and downs and there was like a bit rougher ground, I knew I could get away from him. And he caught me up again on a hill, so I had to get a kick away from him. And then the finish straight was about 200 metres, dead straight, flat grass. And I was just running terrified for my life because I did not want him to overtake me. Again, what motivates me, pure pettiness and spite. I could not let the new boy at cross country overtake me and beat me. So I just had to keep running, and he just about got alongside me, but I think I beat him by a metre in the end. And he did point out, because it's cross country, you get points for your position. It didn't matter what position we finished in, the club would have got exactly the same number of points, and it wouldn't have made any difference. I think we got basically the same time, maybe a second difference. But I just had to make the point, put the new boy in his place. I mean, the next time he will beat me, almost certainly, but just for that time, I had to make sure. But that really, really made it for me. So that last 2K was a really good, hard-fought battle. Those are the kind of races that I really, really love. So I enjoyed that. And also, then the next morning, just to make it a really tough, fun weekend, went up Panavan for sunrise, which, as it turns out, is full of people. Like, we got up there, head torches on to start with, and kind of about halfway up. We got to the top. There must have been 25, 30 people already up there. It's a nice big kind of plateau on top at least, so you don't feel crowded at all. It's not really nice. People just all stand around the edge and the sun rises over the mountains. So everyone's there taking their photos, all the dogs running around. It was really nice. Lovely and cold at the top as well. I did make the mistake of on the way walking up and down, I wore the trousers that I bought to go to the Arctic. So they were like super insulated trousers. Because at the top it was -5. At the bottom it was not -5. And I had to walk up like 600 meters of elevation. My legs were sweating.
I felt trap it all in as well.
Oh, yeah. I felt like one of those people who's gone on like some weird diet and wrapped cling film around their legs. It was like that. I was just like trudging to the top. And on top, at least, I got to kind of put my coat on and put the hood up and kind of stay nice and warm. Then on the way back down, sweaty legs all the way down. I didn't have anything underneath, so I couldn't take them off. I had pants, obviously. But I couldn't take them off and like just have my shorts or whatever. So I was just, that was nasty. And it was just for a walk. I felt so hot and gross after that. Nice. And then when I got home, went for a long run as well. That's how hardcore I am. That is. So I did about 15k. So that was a good weekend's worth of actual training. Perhaps we can call it that. And then this morning, I went to Parkrun, went and did Aberbeeg Parkrun. And the annoying thing about Aberbeeg Parkrun, it's a lovely parkrun, obviously, because they all are. Everyone's lovely at Parkrun, and there's never anything bad ever happens at Parkrun, as we all know. But this one starts under a bridge, which means your watch does not get GPS. And I want to talk to someone about that. I mean, the problem is it is an out and back course, and like the cone you turn around at the end is right at the end of the path, and there's nowhere else to go. So they kind of have to start under the bridge. But it meant, I hit my watch, and it said something about no GPS. I thought, oh, that's fine. It will just pick up GPS and it will go. And then I happened to look at it over a kilometre in. It said, do you want to start now? I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, yes. So I missed over a kilometre off the beginning of my park run. So that's very sad for me.
I feel like they've done that just to fuck with you.
They have, yeah. I feel that should be a complaint made about the team, or perhaps even a hate crime.
Definitely.
Although I don't know if I should escalate this to the police or not.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah,
it's a one. It's not a 999. Certainly, it's a 101, isn't it?
Yeah, or even like the online sort of submit your crime
probably
online thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that straight after we finish recording. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on and hear from our guest. Our guest this week is a breast cancer survivor who ran this year's virtual London Marathon topless to help empower other women who have undergone mastectomies. Louise Butcher, welcome to Running is Bullshit.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good.
Good, great to have you here. So to start off, could you tell us a bit about your running journey? So what got you into running?
So initially I started because I had health anxiety, ironically. Had it for years. I was constantly at the doctors thinking there was something wrong with me when there wasn't. It was all in my head. Well, it wasn't in my head. I thought it was, health anxiety is really, it's awful. So I started running because it sort of helped my mental health. So I kind of did it inconsistently. So I do like a few little runs a week. And I just carried on. And then I watched the London Marathon on the telly like you do and went, oh, I so want to do that. And then I started training properly and I sort of like got better and I did more runs. And then around about 6 months into it was when I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow. So how did that affect your training? Because spoiler alert, you did go on to do that virtual marathon, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what was your sort of reaction to that and how did you process it and how does it impact on your training? How did you carry on having got that diagnosis?
So in actual fact, the training helped me with the whole mental health surrounding the breast cancer. That's the only thing that kind of got me through, as long like family and friends. But the focus of I'm still going to do it got me through the surgeries and the radiotherapy and the whole darkness. And because it was kind of like, as long as I'm running, I'm not dead, I'm all right, I feel good, even through the surgeries, because the surgeries aren't nice. And obviously when I had my first mastectomy, I didn't jump out of bed the next day and start running down the road. It took about 3 weeks to start running. I had to do it slowly, but the process of doing that made me feel like it was productive and I was getting better and I was healing. So the whole exercising with the endorphins, with my mental health, but also physically getting better. So it really actually, I think if I hadn't had the marathon to have that focus at the end of the whole cancer treatment, I don't think I'd have got better as quick, mentally and physically, actually.
So were you only like 6 months into running, like from nothing at all when you got that diagnosis?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So you were still really on that really beginner stage that everything's
yeah,
kind of it's still a bit tough, but everything's improving all the time. And
yeah,
then to have that stop, that's really
yeah.
tough, isn't it?
It was really, really tough. But the toughest part was the cancer over everything else. Even like I've done marathons and they're not great sometimes, like the last one I did. But the worst bit was even losing my boobs was nothing compared to thinking, oh my God, it might have spread, I might die, I might not have any time. That was just terrifying. I've never ever. I think that's why the way I am now is totally different to the way I was because I just never been through something that horrendous. It was just, and I luckily have come out of it, I think, unscared, even though I haven't got any breasts and because I'm still alive. So, and there's people who aren't, and that, so I always think like that. I always think, well, I am just so lucky. So that's
Mm.
kind of like my mindset now. It's why I kind of do what I do as well.
I guess it makes the running a lot easier then, doesn't it? Because you think, well,
Yeah.
this is easy in comparison.
Oh
This is
yeah.
piece of cake, like in
Well,
comparison.
it is actually, but I did a marathon 3 weeks ago. I did like a, a local one, the Barnstable one. And it's the first time because I've only done the virtual ones. You run, obviously, you do the 26 miles, but you're on your own. Whereas I did this with other people, but they were such amazing runners that I was like at the back anyway. So I might as well have been on my own because they were all coming back. And it was horrendous, but amazing because I got sick at mile 16. So I was constantly even and being sick.
Oh
And it
no.
was just horrendous sickness. I was dehydrated. I had to have a medic run with me for 2 miles. I was on the floor, but
God.
it was nothing compared to that journey last year. And I remember at my worst point in the marathon, I was sick all over me. I was topless. It was topless run, and I was even, and these strapping guys were running past, and I just thought, what I must look like, and I'm even, and all this six coming out, and I was on the floor, and I thought this is nowhere near as bad as last year, even though. And then when I got back, I was explaining it to people, going, "Oh my God, it was amazing!" And then I was sick here, and then I couldn't hold my water down, and I was dehydrated. And they were going, "That sounds horrific," and I was like, "Oh no, it was amazing."
Oh, you know what? You're on the right podcast. That's you're straight in
Yeah.
with the sick story. I love it. And you're right. Normal people don't understand that kind of thing, do they?
No, oh my God, they don't. They just look at you like you've gone mad. And I'm like, but I think it was the whole because it was so. I mean, I actually think like I like horrific things now. I like getting through them and knowing that my body can be challenged, especially as the cancer thing taught me that because my body healed no matter what. It was like I'm healing, I'm getting through this. And then my mind had to catch up with that, which is where the running came in. And no matter what, your body will heal unless you die. It will. That's what it's meant to do. So in a way, when I'm running the marathons and that happens, I know my body can do way more than I think it can. And I think that's what keeps me going. Because I'm like, oh, because the medic even said, do you know that is quite dangerous where you were at one point because you weren't keeping down water. And I ran probably about 6 miles dehydrated by then. And she said that's quite dangerous. I went, oh no,
You
because
don't know dangerous. You don't know
I've had
dangerous.
worse.
I kind of knew. I kind of knew my body would be all right. I don't know. It's a weird feeling. It's like you have a lot more trust in your body
Yeah,
after
yeah,
cancer.
yeah. So you mentioned the topless running there.
Yeah,
So how did you decide to go topless? What was the sort of, was there like a light bulb moment when you
yeah.
decided to do it?
Oh, totally. It was totally spontaneous. So I'd done the virtual marathon 6 weeks after the surgery, the first one. That was like hard. And then the second one was in April this year. And all my friends and family, well, a lot of my family had gone up north to visit someone who was having a 90th birthday, and I couldn't go because I was looking after my son, or he was at some rehearsal, and I wanted to do the marathon anyway. And I didn't really tell anyone, but about 3 days before, I'd organised a little event at the end where I'd get the cameras there, spotlight, our news television company would be there, and I got like a man on stilts and everything like that. But I woke up one morning and I thought, I know about raising awareness, and I'd read so many things about mastectomies and how people feel like they have to have reconstruction because of society norms, but yet they still come home, or if they wear fake boobs, they still come home at night and they can't look at themselves in the mirror. And I thought, this is so wrong. Why, when you don't need breasts, really, do you? You don't need them. They're for feeding babies, and you can feed them with milk. If you lost an arm, you might need your arm, you might need your leg, but you don't really need breasts. So why do you need to put them back? So I was like, well, I just thought, why don't to raise this kind of awareness of flat closure being something that people really should do, or if they want to do it, feel brave enough to. How can I get that out there? So I thought, oh, well, I'll just run topless, and it was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I got to my friend, two of my friends are waiting at the start of the marathon, and it's the first time I'd uncovered myself apart from my husband and family, and I'd done a film as well. So, but that hasn't gone out yet. And the two friends, it was their faces that it wasn't me finding it hard to take it off. It was their faces on what they were seeing, because it's more the other person's reaction, not the way you feel. And when I took it off, it just felt amazing. It felt so empowering. I felt unbelievable. It was like I was making my own rules up. There was no rules to it. People couldn't react in a way maybe that you would think they might say something, because you're a breast cancer survivor, so they can't really say anything. It's just what they look like. And then I watched everybody's reaction so I could see what was going on in their heads. It was just the best thing, and I'm so glad I did it. So glad.
I bet it feels good as well, because often when I see like a warm day or whatever, like men running topless, I'm like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could. I bet it feels lovely, like the breeze and stuff. Like, because like you say, we talk a lot about on this podcast about sports bras and boobs and stuff like that. There must be benefits as well to not
It's a
having
lot
to
of money
run
saved.
with boobs. Yeah.
There's so many benefits. There's so many. I honestly would not go back to having breasts, not in a million years, especially being a runner, because it's so free. And like, as when you're a runner, obviously, you're outside, you're connecting with nature, and a lot of that is the reason why the endorphins are there. But when it's on your skin, and obviously women never really get this because they can't just run around with the boobs out because it'll hurt. It's just so freeing, and the breeze here. And then when it rains, and all the water just drips down, and you just feel more connected to the outside. Obviously, you've not got this jumping up and down. You haven't got nipple problems. There's no chafing. It just feels brilliant. I love it. I so love it.
I just wondered, like, when you've been doing that kind of around your local trails things, is there ever any part of you that when you see people's reactions, you worry what their reaction will be, or whether you feel at risk somehow? Because I guess if women did this, I think there's a risk there of of just women being topless in society is not a normal thing and might feel kind of threatened by men. Is that something that's ever gone through your head?
No, it's actually the opposite. I actually feel less vulnerable without breasts, which is really, it's a strange feeling, because it's not like I feel like I'm a man or I've changed, I'm still a woman, but without them, I just feel, as me, I can't say about anybody else because not many people run around topless, but it's just, I don't feel vulnerable in the slightest. And I don't know whether that's come from the whole, I've kind of lost my fight or flight from the cancer, because when I walked into the office so many times to find out if it spread and things like that, the bar was so high that, I mean, I've jumped out of planes recently and all sorts because I have no fear. So I'm not sure if that comes from there, but I do feel less vulnerable as a woman without them. I don't know. They just seem to, because I had lots of different sizes of breasts because I put weight on and lost weight. So I had big boobs, I had small boobs. I was known for my boobs because I was always playing keyboards and singing. That's what I used to do for a living. And it was all about your image. So I was kind of known as, I used to wear cat suits and everyone used to call me Pert because I had really big boobs and everything. So it was kind of who I was. And people used to stare at them and it was like annoying. So now I haven't got any of that. it's just me. It's really odd feeling. It's just and now obviously the running as well. It's like when you're running without them and the running is strength. And when you're running sort of at a pace, you feel quite strong anyway, don't you? I mean, you've got your endorphins running around in your head. And without I don't know, you feel like a warrior.
Yeah, I bet seeing that range of reactions on people's faces within a few seconds as you run past must be quite entertaining as well. Of like, that's really strange,
Yeah.
but no, it's okay. But is it okay? I'm not sure. And
Yeah.
just like you can see people like, wait, hang on, this is not normal.
Yeah, and it is like it's like, what have I just seen? I don't know what I've just seen.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to see that? I'm not sure. How am I supposed to react to this?
Yeah. Should
So
I
you
look?
can see all that going
But I
on.
shouldn't look away, but then I shouldn't look.
Yeah, yeah. But to be honest, now because I run around, I've done 6 months of topless runs, probably most days around where I live. Everybody's kind of used to it now, and that's why I did it to normalize it. So a lot of people who see me like, oh, there's Louise, and it's a normal thing to them. So it's not the same as if I run some. I mean, not everybody knows, but it's not like I run around and all like. So I do get reactions still. Obviously, on social media, you get a mixture of what's going on, which is amazing. I really like it. The discussions going on, and I don't look at it as negativity, and when they don't like it and why they're saying why is she doing this and it's all about this, that, and the other. I think it's good because it shows the stigma. It shows that society doesn't get it. There's a lot of, because I mean, babies aren't born. If they saw some scars, they'd be scared. It's conditioning, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to see some scars. It's not, it's like, you don't see it, do you? People running down the road showing big scars across their chest. But what made me do it was my daughter, who was 6 at the time when I got breast cancer. She asked to see them, and I didn't show them. And I said, all right, okay. I didn't say, oh, you'll be scared or anything. I just went, okay, and showed them her. And she didn't flinch at all, didn't bat an eyelid. And the reason she didn't is because I didn't show an anxiety. I didn't hide them. I didn't cover them up. So to her, well, if mum's not worried about it, neither am I. And that's why I thought, a lot of people say, oh, it's going to traumatize kids when they see her. No, it isn't, because if you're running around happy and you're like, what's traumatic about that? Do you know, it's only when you're like this, oh, don't look at me. Oh, that's the trauma. That's the anxiety you're passing on. So that's another reason why I did it. I just thought, it's good for everyone to see it. Also, if you do get breast cancer, it's not as traumatic because you've seen, if you go flat, this is what you look like. And you still get on with your life, and you can still run, and you can still do marathons, and
and you might have a better time as a runner as well afterwards. So there are some benefits afterwards.
Yeah, I used to get nipple rubbing and bleeding and all sorts. But not that I did it like marathon wise, but if I did do it, it would be like, yeah. So it's so much better without.
And as I said there, what I really love about the interview there is like she's not even not playing by the rules. She's just making her own rules up. And I just really love that because as I said, I keep thinking of like people's reactions to her and all the things going through people's head of like, that's not right, but it is all right. But why shouldn't it be all right? I absolutely just love it for that. And she's not like in anyone's face. She's not doing it to make a big point in a way. She's not like looking at me, shaking her finger like, look at this, you should understand what. She's just doing it because it's just what feels normal and natural for her. And it's just brilliant.
I really love the positive side of something that was obviously so horrific, most of us, if we think of like what's the most horrific thing we can imagine to happen to us, that's one of the most horrific things, like getting cancer and having to go through that. But on the other side of that, she's now in a position where she can run topless, which I'm sure a lot of women would think must be like an amazing feeling, not having to worry about your boobs, which are always a pain in the arse when you're running, and be able to feel like the wind, the rain, whatever on your skin. That must feel amazing. So although she's been through something that must have been so difficult and tough and horrific, there's this amazing thing that she's also got out of it on the other side as well, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, and there was a part of me that when you first suggested her to me as a potential guest, it was like a BBC article, something like that. You sent over to me, and my first reaction was, I don't know, just because I thought this is something that's really heavy and serious, and I don't want us to inadvertently make light of it, because, you know, we do dick around, we talk about stupid things either side of the interviews, and I kind of don't want to make light of it. I don't want to downplay it. But actually then when I started watching her videos and I see her saying things like, oh, people are asking me when I go for a run, how do I keep warm? Well, it's fine. I just wear gloves and a hat. But she's carrying on running topless in the cold rain, just with the hat and gloves on. And it's just like, oh, okay, right. She's cool with this. She's very, you know, she very much understands what it is and is happy to laugh at it and herself. So I was like, okay, yep, great, absolutely, very good decision. And we've got even more from her a little bit later on.
Yeah.
For now, you can support the podcast. You can go to patreon.com/runningisbullshit. You can let us money every month if you want. Just for fun, this week on the song, we've done a duet, which always makes things much more complicated. But for reasons I'm not quite sure of, I'm doing the talking bit and Amy's doing the singing. So what could possibly go wrong? Lisa Gibbon, Maria Wicks, Kiara Evans, Viola Greff, Angela Foster Swales,
Matt Lees,
Dawn Shepherd, Catherine Fenton, Tony Howells, Nikki Genders, Penny Simpson, Gordy Thirlwell,
AP,
Adam Baker, Victoria Dick, Raymond Quinn, Brian Simpson, Rachel Bullmore, Francis Howell,
Rich Scrime,
Nons Dawson, Claire Dean and Neil Denton, Sophie Nichols, Matt Newby, Debbie Hurley, Rachel Bentley,
Andy Nichols, Charlie Neverson, Ian Thompson, Kat Everett, Gabby Thomas, Nowadays,
Alice Newstead, Vicky Robbins, Daniel Braun, Graham Ackland, Andy Robbins, Tom Alcott, Karen Hamilton, Sophie Jacks,
Matt H,
Jewel Running, Adam Atkinson, Martin Catherine, David Irwin, Nikki Jones,
Matt Jones,
Jenny Tamasebi, Kat Abigail Hardman, Jason Spinks, Carl Fleming, Ruth KP, Sandra Heinzer,
Gail Seal,
Martin Josie, Matt Cappin, Ian Hales, Sherry Grubbs, Clark Gilmore, Ivor Hewitt, Matt Burrows, Matt Jeziorski and Miranda Murray Hines,
Julia Page, Victoria Magnus, Elizabeth Chavan, Jonathan Carter, Karen Blake,
Larry Warren,
Anthony Howe,
Liz Reese,
Len Martin,
Paul Ibbott, Bernadette McCarthy, Shambolic Avril, Steve Robson, David Yellowmag Teetle,
Lee Wood,
Jake L. Ryder, Erin Shaw, Sherry Kinnison, H. James Lampert,
Claire Davis, J. Howells, Gregory C. Elliott Line, Luke Daniel McDonough, Stuart Stevens. Don't forget to get in touch with your running bullshit on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Just search Running is BS and let us know why you particularly hate running this week.
Yeah, really do, because as I said, we've run out of things to complain about. We need more things to complain about.
Yeah, you need to pull your weight a bit more, guys. Like, we're relying on you to make these podcasts. Give us money and also give us content.
Yes,
like, come
absolutely.
on.
It's like paying for an
Ridiculous.
app and then still getting ads. Or like watching Netflix, paying for Netflix and still getting ads on that. That's what we are. We're as bad as that now.
Yeah, come on. Just pull your bloody finger out and get on with it. Somebody who did just that and provided us some content was John Parry at home in Sheffield. After that's at as in like their handle is home in Sheffield.
He's not just at home in Sheffield. He might be.
It got very Alan Partridge there. After hearing about the drop from you, me and two mates had a crack at the Manchester Run. The most fun I've had whilst lost. What we didn't get in time, we made up for in adventure. Thanks for the recommendation. That's funny because, you know, we must have mentioned the drop ages ago. And I think they followed me on Instagram, not because I'm cool or special. I think it was just like a advertising thing. And I followed them back because it sounded quite interesting. I think I've seen some videos recently of their races that have been going on recently. And it does look pretty cool. Like, it does look quite exciting.
Just to catch anyone up on this is the race where they pick you all up, they put you on a coach, blindfold you, take your phone away, and then they drop you off something like 12, 13 miles outside a city, and you've got to get back to the city centre generally to across the finish line. So with no maps, no GPS or anything, you just have to know the area, which means it really needs to go somewhere that you know, and they don't do it in Cardiff yet. So perhaps we need to badger them a little bit, because I feel like I do very well at that. So I would really enjoy that. So that looks like a fantastic race. I really want to do one of those at some point.
And definitely go and watch on their Instagram, because some of the videos of the start is great, because everyone's sort of released and everyone goes different directions. Because I'd assume that there'd be quite a few people going in one direction if they've sort of thought, right, okay, this is the quickest way. But people really go, like they just spread out everywhere.
And then if you don't know where you are, you have to think, who looks the most confident that I can follow?
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
I think if you're in Cardiff, message them and say, bring it to Cardiff. And if enough people do, then hopefully they'll come here.
Absolutely. Also, we've got a question that we put out on Instagram, and this is at my girlfriend Holly's insistence. And she said this was a very good question that we hadn't asked before. So we put out an Instagram story to ask people, what is your favourite running smell? Now, she really loves this question because she always goes on about how much she loves the smell of farms and haylage, which apparently is a real word.
That's a horse girl thing.
It's a horse girl
was saying
thing,
that when we were
yeah,
walking stage. She's like, I was thinking, it smells like shit round here. And Freya's like, I love that smell. It's just horse shit.
Now, she's insisted that I'm not allowed to say that she really loves the smell of horse shit. Apparently, it's haylage.
Oh. That's what they say, so they don't have to clear it up. So when it's fucking everywhere over the footpath and you're standing in it and your dogs are eating it, you can't say, well, clear it up, because they'll be like, no, it's just hay and grass, it's fine, it's not poo, we don't need to clear it up, it's good for the environment.
So she loves talking about the smell of farms when we run through them. So she wanted to know what everyone else's favourite running smells are.
We had plenty of replies, such as these normal ones that we think we can all agree with. So the things like freshly cut grass, the smell of a forest, lavender, pine trees, autumn leaves, wild garlic. Bloody love the smell of wild garlic. I love garlic, full stop. So wild garlic, nom, nom, nom. It smells amazing. And that smell when it rained, which Danny Norman correctly named,
Petrichor?
Petrichor,
probably, yeah.
Petrichor, maybe. And Angela Foster Swales went for cutgrass, the sea, and magnolia trees, which sounds like she lives in some kind of Bronte novel. Magnolia trees? What are magnolia trees?
It's just, I don't know, it's a type of tree, I guess. But it's a bit romantic, isn't it? The sea, the smell of magnolia trees. Beautiful. Also, Petrichor sounds like a Pokemon.
It does.
There must be one called that. It has a special smell move.
Rain move, because like a water type Pokemon, you can make it rain and it increases like their attack, but also makes them more susceptible to damage from of course electric type Pokemon, but reduces the damage of fire type Pokemon. So you've got that too. So
Amy knows her shit.
I do.
There are also a lot of food related smells, which I might add Holly was not at all on board with. She doesn't like those because she doesn't have the food. So she doesn't like to smell food if she doesn't have it.
Fair enough.
So we had people suggesting things like running past a curry house, Sunday roast, chocolate, a brewery, croissants from a cafe, and bread. Those are all pretty good smells. I like a food smell.
Same. And then a couple of absolute psychopaths, such as Fake Ben Hall, said diesel exhaust.
Mate.
And Chow 106 said aviation fuel on a crisp cold morning. What?
Do we think these ones are like sniffing glue when they get home as well?
Aviation fuel? Does that smell different from just petrol then?
Well, I guess so. Loves the smell of that.
Where do
for
you
some
live?
reason. I think. Well, they did say I think as well, they live near an airport.
It makes sense.
But even so, that's not a good smell.
But also, are you close enough to the airport to smell the fuel? Like, isn't that a security risk? Do you live in the airport? Are you living in Terminal 5? What's going on?
I just don't think people should be like sniffing diesel and fuel generally. That doesn't seem like a good thing to me.
But I will say, one of my first thoughts when I thought about this question was when I used to live in a small village, and I used to walk to the bus stop down a little alleyway, and it had sort of gardens either side and fences, and the smell of the varnished fences, when they used to varnish the fences, that was amazing. I think that would be one. I haven't smelt it running yet, and I've only actually smelt it because I think it was a narrow alleyway, so the smell was sort of like was really intense. I've only smelt it like that in that particular place in my childhood. But if I smelled that when I was running, I'd be like, yeah, that's my favourite smell.
Is that just because people and you like those smells because you're off your tits? You're a little
Probably.
kid walking through like fresh varnish, big old huff of that, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go to school with your eyes like red and
Yeah.
streaming.
I mean, I would say that they would explain a lot, but passed my test, my driving test first time, so didn't do me any damage.
Didn't do any damage. I do quite like a run where you go at like 5-6 o'clock in the evening and you can smell other people cooking the dinner. I do quite like that. That's quite satisfying. Because I know I haven't got the dinner, but I'm probably going to get home and have mine. But it's just like nice, just like running down like a residential street, terrace street or something like that, and just being able to smell everyone's dinner. That's quite nice.
That is a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, I used to get that as well when I lived down in Cardiff Bay, where there's loads of restaurants, and I used to run through there and you could smell like all the food in the restaurants. I was like, oh yeah. Good one.
This is not a running smell because this is a very old one, but used to be like a long time ago in Norwich, there was literally a chocolate factory in the middle of Norwich, and like it would just smell of like warm melted chocolate to the whole city. Oh, that was so nice. That was such good. I think when they knocked it down and built a shopping centre, they should have like put something in to put that smell out, carry on, because that was a piece of heritage. I'm not sure if they're heritage smells, but there should be.
Oh, I've just thought of one that I've actually had when I was actually running. I think it was a club night actually when I used to, the bygone days when I used to come to club, and it was bonfire night, because I remember, because it was like really cool because all the fireworks were going off as we were running. But as I was running there to club, I could smell like bonfires as well. Like, a dark, crispy evening, smelling like wood smoke, but not too close, like from a distance a bit, but like the smell of bonfire. Oh, that was very good.
I think generally we're going towards like generally food smells for us.
Food and chemicals.
Food and chemicals, yeah, absolutely. All the plastic people are putting in the bonfires.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to more from Louise and why topless running is now such a huge part of her life.
You mentioned social media as well. Because you post a lot on social media about your topless runs. Have you been censored yet? Because I see some women who have had mastectomies or like sort of surgery where they've reduced or gotten rid of their breasts, and they'll post topless pictures, and social media will censor them because they're women, even though they're not showing boobs. So have you had much censorship on social media?
No, I haven't. I haven't had any pictures censored in that way. There was a post that we had down here. It's like a North Devon news post, which is quite a large post. And I'd put, I think, something had gone on there that I was going to be on the ITV News West Country, and just thousands of people commented on it, and it just went viral. And then it ended up around the world, and all these people commented, and that got took down. And then it got put back up again. And then I was like, why has it been took down? And then I think people had just got so behind it that it got put back up. But I think a lot of it is the algorithm anyway, isn't it? It's not someone sat there pressing a button. It's the whole. But nothing like picture-wise has ever been taken down that I put. And I've posted a lot of topless pictures, and nothing's been taken down, which is, because a lot of people do say to me, why are they not getting taken down? Because, some people have, and it's been taken down. So I find that a little bit quite strange, but good.
I think things are changing on social media, though. I think it's becoming more acceptable for women to be topless in general, because they're just boobs at the end of the day. So I think more generally it's becoming more acceptable, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But it's so interesting. It is so interesting, especially like the one on Tyler is the comments on there are brilliant. I mean, they're not all nice. They're not pretty, and they're not. I think if I didn't have a thick skin, you could be affected. But I don't look at it personally. I look at it like a whole, that, I'm not the only person who's had a mastectomy. I'm not the only person who's got flat closure. So those comments aren't to me personally. But the fact is the more that it gets normalised, the more those comments go away, or they will eventually just not really matter. So it's more about sort of like getting them out of the way. This is this person doing this, and then it all becomes easier in the long run. So it's not really about me as such. It's about the cause. So I don't really get affected by the negativity.
And what advice would you give to other runners who have recently had a similar diagnosis or are undergoing treatment for cancer, breast cancer, or more generally?
I'd definitely say keep running, definitely. Because I think that's what kind of kept me sane. It's the only thing that did, because even though you've got your family and friends around you, they don't really understand. and the running sort of gets you in your space, and it's what you were good at, and you can still be good at it, even though obviously if you're having surgery, you can't do it. You have to do it slowly and get back into it. But it just gives you that good feeling again that people run for, that the endorphin and the whole getting better. And it is actually a fact that any kind of cancer treatment, exercise is a treatment, isn't it?
Yeah, fitter and healthier you are for any kind of illness is always going to help you in the long way. It's going to help your recovery. And also,
Yeah,
it's a goal as well. It's something you can get back to, something to aim for. Like I guess you had the marathon, like, right, I'm going to do that marathon, and here's
yeah,
what I need to do to get to that.
yeah, that's it, definitely. So I definitely recommend keep running. Yeah,
And a lot of your videos that I've seen as well, you're very, very big on, obviously making sure you're always checking for breast cancer as well. I mean, do you
yeah,
want to just kind
yeah,
of give people that kind of speech now as well? Because that always needs
yeah.
to be heard, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So what was really strange about my cancer as well, it was lobular cancer, which is in the lobules, which is where the milk's made. Ductal is the more common one, but mine was the second most common breast cancer, but hardly anybody had heard about it, which was quite strange. But it doesn't show up really well on scans. So had a mammogram. I'd had a mammogram in March last year, and it was clear. And I got a letter saying, "Oh, it's all clear," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And then I'd gone in the shower about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and I'd had a really good feel, like you do. And I'd found like a little tiny cyst on the left there, I'd had cyst in the other side years ago, and I thought it felt a bit like that, but it just felt a bit harder. So I thought, and I wasn't worried, but I checked, and I thought, well, I'll go to the GP. The GP said, "I'm not worried either." She was not worried, but she sent me for peace of mind, because obviously I had health anxiety. She sent me for peace of mind to the breast cancer clinic. And then when I went there, they did an ultrasound, not a mammogram. And that's when they found like 5 little lumps, which were all connected together. And there was 5 centimeters of it, which didn't
Wow.
show up because I know, and it was right near the chest wall. So what lobular cancer, instead of growing like a big mass, like a lump, it's got little tiny lumps which all thread like into like a spider's web. So it grows through the tissue and it isn't seen in the mammogram with the light. It's apparently it's because it's got no adhesive, so it doesn't stick together. So it just grows in little lines and threads. And that's why it didn't show up. So the feeling is really important. Even if you do have mammograms, if you think, I'm having a mammogram, I don't need to bother. You do. And also another thing is lifting your arms up. Because I remember I lifted my arms up and it was like puckering, sort of pulling in, not really bad, but a little bit of puckering and dimpling. Obviously, where it threaded in, it pulled in the skin. And another lady who'd had the lobular had a nipple going inward. So that's quite common as well with that type of cancer. Or to be honest, I think with any type of cancer, the nipple can go inward because it's pulling the tissue in. So those sorts of things, not necessarily just thinking, I'm having a mammogram. They're brilliant and everyone should go for one, but you should also check as well. And that's for anything, not lumps necessarily. It could be thickening of the skin. So even if it feels harder somewhere on your breast, not like a lump necessarily, just a hard thickening or dimpling or going inward or nipple inward or discharge coming out the nipple or anything, to be honest, anything that just looks different than it did, that's pretty much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So our final question is, what is the most bullshit thing about running?
So I think the most bullshit thing about running is when you've done a long distance and it's the sickness. It's got to be that whole awful nausea and
Throwing
then
up all over yourself.
and that's got to be the worst bit of it. Even though it's amazing, it's still the worst bit.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky. I don't think I've ever really felt particularly sick in a really long race. I've done a few ultras. I've never kind of been sick. I've never had dodgy bowels
Wow.
or anything. So I think I've been quite lucky so far.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you are.
Is
You're
that quite
lucky,
common for
You're
you
not
lucky.
then?
trying hard enough.
No, well, I'm losing toenails all over the place, but not my lungs
Oh,
yet.
right. Oh, see, I don't get that. I don't get that.
Not
So I
yet.
get the same. All right. I haven't done an ultra yet though, so we'll
You've got
see.
that to look forward to. But
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's what.
topless ultra would be good, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well,
you need to
the
carry
thing
a
is,
bag then. That's a
yeah, that's the thing. But I could do like a
room to
wasting
look. Oh
rather
yeah.
than a bag.
massive
Yeah,
waistband. Yeah, some people do have those,
yeah,
don't they? To be fair, yeah, that would ruin the
yeah,
look otherwise. Because that's what really impressed me actually. You said it, in a way, yeah, I'd almost expect like seeing like the videos and things. You seem like someone who's been running for 10 years and has done everything, and then this happened, and you said, "Fuck it, I'm just going to carry on." But you're actually still really new. You're only like, right, what, 18 months in? That's still
yeah.
pretty new for most
Yeah,
people.
pretty new to the marathon scene. I mean, I did little
Straight
bits of
into the
running.
marathons, yeah.
Yeah, it was little bits of running here and there, but I was inconsistent. So I'd do a bit of running here and there, and then I'd stop for a bit. And then over COVID, I put weight on. And I remember it was after COVID, I started went, oh, I've got to lose a bit of weight. And then I thought I'd get back into running again, and it'd stop, and then it'd stop. But it was literally when I saw the marathon on the telly. I mean, I've seen the marathon on the telly loads of times, but it was just that day. It really went, oh God, I so want to do that. And that's when it kind of set me off really. And now I can't go a day without running. I'll feel really low. If I don't run, I'll be like, oh, and I get all jittery, and I'll be like, I just, it's so weird. I'm literally like, I've got to go for a run, I'm going for a run. And then I'll come back a totally different person, like in a really good mood. It's
Covered in
brilliant.
sick, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Louise. That's fantastic. So, where can people find you on social media?
My Facebook page is public, so because I do a lot of my awareness stuff on there. So that's just Louise Bernadette Butcher, and you can find me on Facebook. And then my Instagram and TikTok accounts. Well, my Instagram's connected anyway, and I'm on TikTok as well. I think my TikTok's at Louise Bernadette B. But yeah, I use that a lot as well, and of course all my marathon stuff. There's a lot of my marathon finishes on there, which is good.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be sharing
Thank
you,
you.
and yeah, people will be able to find you. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for having me on. It's been brilliant chatting.
And thank you once again to Louise. Can you imagine going for a run with Louise, like a really long, perhaps you're doing an ultra with her, and like everything hurts and you're aching and tired and you want to stop, and you start complaining to her, and she just looks at you and says, well, it's not that hard. And you'd be like, all right.
All right, you wouldn't be able to complain about anything, would you?
No.
Because nothing can be as bad. I mean, that's great. It's great for her because, like she was saying in the interview, you know, she always thinks nothing is this bad. Nothing is this bad.
Motivation for her is amazing.
Yeah.
Running with her, oh, that would be tough.
You wouldn't say anything, would you? You're like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine.
Yeah, can't wait to keep seeing more from Louise, and she's going to be doing the London Marathon next year as well, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that.
And check her out on her social medias because she posts some really great videos. So.
Yeah, they are very funny videos.
The bullshit running news. First up, we have a story about the clothing brand Tracksmith, which actually I hadn't heard of before. I don't know whether it's mainly an American thing or whether I'm just not in the sort of circles that wear Tracksmith.
Well, I think it's because it's for good runners.
Exactly. As with spoiler alert, we're going to go into that, but I think it's, I don't think it's for the likes of me. But they've stirred up some controversy with the launch of their BQ singlet. So this is basically a singlet reserved for Boston Marathon participants. So you have to sort of qualify for Boston Marathon first, which of course, as most people know, is notoriously difficult to qualify for. You have to be quite fast, and then you also have to sign up for Boston Marathon as well, and then you get access to buying these singlets, and Tracksmith have been selling these singlets since 2015, and it's always been slightly polarizing because the whole point of it is that it excludes people. It's exclusionary, that's kind of the point. But this year, the launch of the 2024 singlet on Instagram was particularly contentious because their caption opened with the quote, "This is not a jogging race," which is a quote from the former Boston Marathon co-race director, Jack Semple. And it's and they say some other stuff in this really long, rambly caption about, this singlet is something along the lines of it's harder to get, it's really hard to earn, and all this, like that sort of narrative. So yeah, there was like a massive outrage. The post itself, I think, had 1,500 comments, and they ended up taking it down and then issuing an apology, which is like, bro, if that's your brand, like, stick to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's either your brand or it's not. Come on.
Yeah, like, part of me is like, I kind of get it. Like, if they want to create a singlet that you can only get if you run Boston Marathon and be like, oh, this is not a jogging race and da-da-da-da. Because, yeah, I guess it's Boston Marathon.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like, it's not a jogging race.
Yeah.
It's not one people really do for a bit of a jolly. I mean, I know there are charity
elitist.
places.
Yeah.
There are other ways to get into it, but it is a quick race, and that is kind of okay. Not every race has to be a park run, you know, where it's available for every single runner. Some races can be more exclusive because there's room for that, I think, in the market. So I think in a way, yeah, if you qualify for Boston, you qualify for the singlet. I don't see that as being too bad, but it depends how they word it. And by the sound of it, they didn't word it well.
No, I think it was just, maybe that would have been okay and would fly in 2015, but not today. And I don't mean that in a everyone's bloody woke sort of gammon sort of way. I mean it like, you know, we're more aware now of when we're using there's certain language that we don't, and certain phrases and certain ways of putting things, we don't need to put it like that. We can say, yeah, this is exclusive for Boston qualifiers without shitting on other people. Without shitting on slower runners.
And just without going too far and because I just I can picture it in my head already. Like they were just like the most toughest race there is. Like everything has to be the toughest race. Everything has to be harder, and just like you just need to calm down a little bit. You don't need to do so much hyperbole about every single thing.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the narrative, which bugs me a bit about the narrative around running fast, is it sort of equates running fast to working really hard and training really hard.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and firstly, some people find it easier to run faster than others, just genetics, you know, genetics in terms of any sport. If you've got a certain predisposition, there's a reason why Olympians are Olympians, because genetically their predisposition is towards that, you know, because, you know, I saw a quote from somebody the other day that said, I didn't become big and broad because I played rugby. I played rugby because I was big and broad. You know what I mean? There's a genetic component to making you slightly better than other people. Fair enough. And yes, a lot of hard work goes into running fast, but there are some people that even if they put in a load of hard work, might not be able to run too fast. They might not want to. They may be good, maybe better at doing longer distances, etc. So I think like the whole narrative of if you're not a fast runner, you just haven't worked hard enough is kind of shitty, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of a shitty narrative. So yeah, I get it. I think I don't see the issue with having exclusive clothing that's just for Boston qualifiers. Whatever, I don't care. I think it's just how they spin that and how they frame it. The other thing as well was there was a bit of outrage was around not just the singlet but the larger issues that people were seeing with the brand, so with Tracksmith. Such as its limited sizing options. So women's sizing caps out at a 32-inch waist and extra large. 32-inch waist, extra large. That's quite small.
I mean, I have a 32-inch waist.
Yeah.
Am I an XL now?
Yeah, but for a woman like an XL 32-inch waist, that is very... Because it's one thing to say, okay, so a lot of clothing, a lot of running brands and sports brands don't carry the much larger sizes, and that's an issue, and etc. And that is an issue. But 32-inch waists as an XL, that just seems a bit... Yeah, that seems a bit much. I don't know.
Yeah, it says in the notes here, that's the equivalent of a size 12.
Yeah,
I think I roughly know what that means, and that doesn't feel like that should be
size
the
12
largest.
is probably about my, not that listeners will know, but for your sake, it's probably about my size. Like I'm between like a 10 and a 12 probably. So me, they're saying I'm an extra large.
Yeah, but it says dress size, and I can't imagine
I don't wear dresses
in a dress in any way.
No, they do mean clothing. That's just a term.
I just had a quick look. The average dress size in the UK is 16.
Yeah.
So wow.
Like, you know, so I get that, yeah, limited sizing options. It's not just limited in terms of they don't go up to XXL or whatever, which normal size XXL, etc. It's the fact that the XL is 32 inches. Like, that's ridiculous. And also they also feature predominantly thin bodies in marketing, which I guess they'd have to if their XL is a 32-inch waist, or else who's going to wear their bloody clothes? So yeah, because that's the other thing, this whole thing about like runners have to be or assumed to be really, really thin, you know? So I dread to think like what would their extra small or small size even be? I don't even know. So yeah, so that was the other sort of criticism around the brand itself. I mean, I'm always in two minds about this. Part of me is just like, crack on, let them get on with it. Don't give them your money. Give your money to other companies that are better and more inclusive. But at the same time, also, I'm like, well, these are the messages they're putting out there on social media and stuff. So if they're putting it out there, then people have the right to sort of say, well, this doesn't seem right and this isn't very inclusive. So yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That has just reminded me of something. It's not really a news section. This is just like a little opinion interjection here. Something I saw about messaging, and it was from Dragon's Back. Now, obviously, we do really like the Dragon's Back. It's a good race. But it calls itself the toughest mountain race in the world. Yet another one of the races. Toughest mountain race in the world. And they did a post last week from one of the runners who completed it. And it was all about how she's just a normal runner. She doesn't do silly mileage. And just with a bit of dedication and hard work, anyone can do it. I'm like, so is it the toughest mountain race in the world, or is it a race that any normal runner can do? Because it can only be one of those two things.
And when she says, I don't do silly mileage, I want to know what that actually means.
Yeah.
Because for me, if somebody said, oh, I don't do silly mileage, for me that would be, say, a 30-mile week tops. You know, that to me. But I doubt that. I bet they're like looking at sort of 40, 50, up to 100 miles a week.
If you completed Dragon's Back, and, you know, even the hatchling is hard, but it's not as tough. But if you completed the full Dragon's Back, you're not a normal runner. You are a very good runner. And you should take that as a compliment. You should be proud of that. And I think the race should commit a little more, because it says toughest mountain race in the world. Commit to that. There's no problem with being a hard race. Like we said in Boston, there's no problem being a hard race or a fast race. You just need to kind of own it a bit more and be open about why it is that way and why you've chosen that. And, you know, be able to, you know, push people in different directions if that's more suitable. But you can't be the toughest mountain race in the world and a race that everyone can do.
I think that the message should be that it probably is achievable to the average runner if they do the training that's needed for it. It's kind of like ultras and stuff. Anyone can run an ultra. You just need to do the training that's needed for the ultra. Like, not anyone could do an ultra if you're just doing sort of 15 miles a week or whatever. But if you do the training for it, anyone can do an ultra. And I imagine Dragon's Back is a similar situation where if you gave yourself, like kind of like Ben did, if you give yourself 2 years, really get stuck into the training, if you started out as an average runner, then yeah, I reckon you could complete it, but not just sticking to your normal routine, quote unquote, not doing silly mileage. I don't think you could complete it then.
Yeah, I don't know. I even think, you know, a race as tough as that and some other races, things like the Spine or other races like that, you might put in 2 years and you might do as much as you can. But as you said before, you're just not going to be that good. You're not going to be able to complete it in the time allotted. Because the thing, you might be able to complete the race, but not within those time limits. Like, I thought, someone asked me about, oh, do you want to do the Dragon's Back? And when I said no, they looked surprised. I'm like, well, no, because, like, I would have to spend literally 2 years of really hard work, and I'm just not willing to do it, because at the end of the day, I still don't think after all that, I would be able to, because it just seems too much. And again, that's fine. It's just too hard for me. There's plenty of other things. So I was just, that kind of messaging, it just seemed a little bit confused to me. I think people are a bit scared of saying they're difficult.
Yeah. I think the key is, like, it's okay for things to be exclusive and quote unquote like quite elite or whatever. It's like when you're framing that, though, you don't need to shit on other people. You don't need to say, we're really tough. You can't just do this. You can't just sit on the couch. You need to. Like, it's like, you can just say, we're really tough. It's a really tough thing to do, you know?
If you do it, make sure you are prepared, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, you don't need to shit on other people to get that message across.
Okay, back to news. 2 half marathon runners, including the apparent winner, were disqualified for wearing other people's bib numbers at the Kielder half marathon. Organisers said the person who crossed the line first committed a serious breach of the rules and deprived the actual winner of a moment of glory. The second runner, who had led the race at one point, used a female runner's number. Now, despite being warned twice, he took part in the run before being persuaded to stop before the finish. I believe this is someone who emailed in advance to ask if they could use someone else's number. The race quite rightly said no, and then he did anyway. I mean, that's not even really cheating. That's just being a dick.
And it said in the article, like, he was like persuaded to stop before the finish. So I assume people were like, on the people who were volunteers and stuff, or race officials were telling him to, like, stop. Like,
I
don't know.
presume so, because they probably would have known the name, which means they would have known the number of the person he was right. And then I don't know, was he persuaded by being like rugby tackled, just like 100 yards before the finish or something? I hope so. Yeah. Organisers of the actual winner, a third man called John Butters, lost out on the day amid confusion, while the two runners who should have been presented with second and third prizes were not given their prizes. So the
What a
actual winner.
mess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna bandit a race and use someone else's number, don't bloody win it.
Yeah.
There's some more
yeah.
tips here from the podcast. If you're gonna cheat in a race, don't win.
That's the thing. Like, I will tell everyone, I have used somebody else's number at a race.
I mean,
was
we
Swansea
probably
Half
all have
Marathon,
at some point,
and it
haven't
was
we?
like 6 years ago. Ban me if you want, because I'm not bothered. I'm never doing a road half marathon again. Ban me, I don't care. But yeah, one of my friends was injured, and she said, "Do you want my place?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I'm not going to win. Doesn't really matter. Well, it does. I guess it does matter in a way, but it's Swansea Half Marathon. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to win. Who cares? But if you can't, like, it. Well, not only did the person who won, like, you know, had a different bib, but it's like the second. How does that happen? How does the first and second person not have the correct bib?
And especially when he knew he wasn't allowed to compete, and he was still like competing up front and trying to race this other person.
That's the thing. If they'd been further back, maybe they would have just turned a blind eye to it and thought,
I don't think they probably wouldn't have even known.
Yeah.
You would have just been fine. You wouldn't have been disqualified, presumably, from all of their races.
Yeah.
Oh, weird people.
Right, Stuart, what have you got coming up next?
I need to do some very, very long stuff. I haven't been doing proper long runs. So tomorrow I'm going to try and go and do 20 miles. It is now less than 4 weeks until Meriden.
Have you got your route nailed down? Have you got your route sorted?
And the route's kind of been sorted for a while. What I've been doing now is going through and researching where all the toilets are, where the shops are, where the pubs are, where the cafes are. Not only what time they open in the morning, but what time they close at night.
Yes.
That is how weird the researchers get. So, okay, so this shop is open at 7. I should be there by then. This shop I don't get till 8 p.m. It might be closed by then. God, that's so much to think about.
Where are you heading towards again? Is it Bristol or?
I'm basically heading through Solihull, Droitwich Spa, Worcester, Malvern, Ledbury, Ross-on-Wye, hopefully kind of towards Monmouth is the plan.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty set. I've got lots of toilets mapped out, and I've got links to Google Maps, so I'll have that all on my phone, so I'll know where all the toilets are. I'll know where I can buy food. Hopefully it'll be fine. Less than 4 weeks. Shit. How about you?
In comparison, nothing. I am just trying to train a bit for the half marathon that I'm doing, the Celtic Trail Race, which is ages away now. Not really got anything before that. I'm going to go and drive out places on the weekends and stuff. Go up some mountains and shit. Now I can go places. I am free.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to do some proper runs, some proper trail runs.
I know. I'll be up there. I'll be up a mountain, middle of nowhere. Yeah, so stay off the roads on Sunday mornings if you're in the Cardiff area.
That's best. If you've enjoyed the bullshit, please visit runningisbs.com. You can see the show notes and the links from this episode, the whole back catalogue as well if you want. You can also click on our links to our You can also click on links to our Patreon, to our merch store, and our social medias. Thank you very much.
Bye!
And I'm even and all this 6 coming out.